3 a.m. the night they run. The cornfields were darker than they had ever been. Nebraska nights were supposed to hold at least a faint shimmer, moonlight brushing against the stalks, porch lights glowing faintly behind long gravel roads, but tonight, everything was swallowed by a thicker shade of black. It felt like ink closing around the edges of the world. Connor Hayes gripped the steering wheel of his ancient blue Chevy pickup so tightly that the cracked leather bit into his palms. The truck rattled and coughed as he pushed it past 70, dirt spraying behind the tires as it barreled down the Morrison family's farm road. Come on, he whispered through clenched teeth. He could hear Ava's father shouting even before he saw the house, a low boom of anger and betrayal. The porch lights were on, and the front door swung wide. Pastor Morrison stood in the doorway, his hunting rifle raised, his silhouette framed by the glow behind him. And right behind him, Ava sprinted into the yard, barefoot, backpack bouncing on one shoulder, hair unbraided and wild. Connor slammed the brakes, the truck fishtailing slightly in the gravel. She yanked the passenger door open and threw herself inside. Go, she shouted. He checked my phone again, he knows everything, G.O. The rifle fired. The rear windshield exploded into glittering shards. Connor didn't think. He floored the gas, and the truck roared forward, fishtailing once more before gaining traction and shooting down the road. Behind them, Pastor Morrison fired again, the shot echoing across the hollow fields. A second bullet punched through the taillight. Ava was shaking so badly her teeth chattered. But her eyes, her bright, furious, terrified eyes, never left the road ahead. He said he was going to send you away tonight, she whispered. He had the papers ready. Utah. 2 years at the reform facility. And he said I'd have to marry Brother Ellis if I didn't repent. Brother Ellis. 40 years old. Hands always lingering too long during prayers. Connor's jaw locked. No, he said. Not happening. He reached across the bench seat and took her hand. Her fingers tightened around his like she needed confirmation he was real. They didn't look back. Not at the farm. Not at the porch. Not at the man yelling curses into the void behind them. They only looked forward, to the highway, to Chicago, to anywhere but here. For 10 minutes, they said nothing. The only sounds were the engine, the corn rushing past, and the wind seeping through the shattered rear window. Then Ava whispered. Connor. Do you see that? He followed her gaze. And saw the sky split open. It wasn't a storm. Storms had lightning. Thunder. Sheets of rain. Clouds. This thing didn't. It was a wall, no, a dome, no, a swirling continent of pure black moving in a slow rotation like the spiral of a hurricane, except every strand of it bent inward instead of outward, folding into itself like a massive throat. And it stretched from the heavens down to the earth. A horizon to horizon monolith. A living eclipse. The hollow. Connor's foot lifted off the gas without him meaning to. The truck coasted forward as both of them leaned toward the windshield. The air tasted metallic. Wrong. A faint, low hum vibrated through their bones, felt more than heard. Is that a tornado? Ava whispered. Tornadoes don't swallow the sky, Connor muttered. The radio crackled on by itself. The screen glitched to static, then smoothed into a face, a sickly human imitation, skin too smooth, eyes nothing but black voids. Its plastic smile didn't move. Its voice came from everywhere at once. Lock your doors. Board your windows. When the sirens sing, go to the basement. Do not come out until we tell you it's safe. The voice repeated. And repeated. Every station. Every frequency. Even when Connor ripped the radio free from its mount and threw it onto the floor, the same voice echoed from the truck speakers. Ava slapped her hands over her ears and screamed. Connor stomped the gas. We're leaving, he shouted. Hollow or no hollow, we're getting out. The truck surged forward, engine whining. But the darkness ahead was moving. The hollow was advancing across the fields like an incoming tide, massive wall of black pushing eastward at an impossible speed. The corn flattened in waves before it, bending as if bowing to a king. Connor swallowed. "It's coming toward us. We can outrun it, right?" Ava asked. He didn't answer. Because he wasn't sure. Minutes later, the road split into Highway 23. The truck shot onto the asphalt, tires squealing. Connor swerved around a stalled tractor, then around a pickup abandoned sideways across both lanes. The headlights illuminated a shape ahead. A deer. No, not a deer. Its body was wrong, too thin, too elongated, its legs bending backward at unnatural angles. Its skin shimmered, pulsing faintly, as if something was crawling underneath. Ava sucked in a breath. The creature's head jerked toward them, and its pupils were gone, replaced with swirling little discs of oily black. Connor swerved. The creature lunged. Its hooves scraped the passenger door hard enough to bend the metal inward, but it slipped as the truck tore past, tumbling into the ditch. "What was that?" Ava cried. "I don't know." Something splattered across the windshield, dark fluid, thick, tar-like. Connor turned on the wipers, but it smeared instead of wiping clean. The truck plunged through a cloud of it, droplets drifting in the air like oily rain. The engine sputtered. A heavy grinding noise rumbled under the hood. "Oh no," Connor whispered. "That stuff got into the intake." "Keep going," Ava shouted. He did. But every mile, the truck coughed harder. And the hollow's edge got closer. They were racing a moving apocalypse. By the time they saw the lights of Carter's gas and feed, the truck was belching smoke. Connor swerved into the lot, gravel spraying. The engine gave one last stuttering cough and died. The air was eerily still. "Get out," Connor said. "We need anything that can burn." "Fuel? Supplies?" Ava nodded, grabbing the shotgun her father had given her for protection from sinners. The station windows were bright, the fluorescents flickering in a frantic rhythm. But no one was inside. Not exactly. The man behind the counter was standing too still. Connor called out, "Hey! Our truck broke down, we need gas." The man's head turned, slowly, like his neck was filled with wet cement. His face sagged unnaturally, as if his skin was melting off the bone. Then he smiled. The smile stretched, and kept stretching. Ava backed away. "Connor, he's wrong." The man stepped into the light. His torso was hollow, caved in, ribs exposed but coated in some mucus-like black resin. Something skittered inside the cavity, many things, like a nest of spiders crawling beneath transparent wax. "Fuel," the man croaked. "You need fuel." Then he lunged. Ava fired. The shotgun blast tore through his head, but instead of blood, a spray of tiny black discs, like fluid-filled beetles, erupted outward, clattering across the tile floor. They moved. Fast. "Run!" Connor shouted. He grabbed Ava's hand and dragged her toward the door as thousands of tiny tapping sounds echoed behind them, little legs scrabbling across tile. A second figure shambled from the back room, its arms dangling like melted candles. Connor kicked the door open. They sprinted across the empty lot. The creatures poured out behind them, crawling over each other, reforming into a single mass that pulsed like a living tar pit. Ava was shaking violently. She still held the shotgun, smoking barrel trembling. "I killed him," she whispered. "Connor, I killed." "That wasn't a person anymore," Connor said, pulling her close. Whatever that was, it wasn't him. The hollow loomed so close now its edge towered over the gas station like a rising wave. "We have to move," Connor said. "On foot. North. Maybe we can find a farmhouse, a barn, anything." They ran. The night stretched around them, darker than darkness. The hollow advanced behind, each second a little closer. The ground vibrated subtly with its movement. Sometimes, they heard things within it. Screams. Whispers. The sound of something being chewed. At one point they passed a farmhouse where a family stood on the porch, hands clasped, praying loudly as the black wall rolled toward them. Should we warn them? Ava asked. Connor shook his head. They won't listen. But they'll die. Everyone will. They kept moving. The hours blended. Their legs ached. Their breath tore at their lungs. And the whole time, the oily residue from the gas station clung to their shoes, smelling like burnt rubber and rot. Sometime around dawn, a dawn without sunlight, they reached an abandoned barn. They pushed inside and collapsed onto the dusty floor. Ava's breathing was ragged. Connor placed a hand on her shoulder. We rest for an hour. Then we keep going. We'll make it. Chicago isn't that far. Ava didn't answer. Her eyes were unfocused. Her hands trembled. Connor frowned. Ava? Are you hurt? She lifted her shirt slightly. Something writhed beneath her skin, small, circular shapes bulging and sinking like bubbles rising through black liquid. Connor's blood ran cold. Ava. I'm fine, she lied softly. Just tired. But the trembling didn't stop. The barn didn't give them rest. Not really. Connor had drifted into a half-sleep, if it even counted as that, when a thump shook the loose boards overhead. He jerked awake instantly, one hand reaching for the crowbar he'd scavenged near the door. Ava sat upright too, eyes glassy, skin pale except for the pulsing black veins spidering out from her ribs. Neither of them spoke. They didn't need to. Something was walking on the roof. Slowly. Deliberately. As if pacing. A long, crooked shadow moved across the barn wall as the unseen thing passed across the moonless sky. The hollow's faint phosphorescent glow, the only light left in Nebraska, shifted with it. Connor pointed silently at the side door. Ava nodded. They slipped out into knee-high grass. The wind carried a low rumble from the west, the sound of the hollow consuming another cluster of farmhouses miles away. The air shimmered with distant heat, even though the ground was cold. A narrow gravel road ran north toward a single distant building, a two-story farmhouse, windows dark, silo half collapsed. Ava squinted. You think anyone's still in there? Connor shook his head. If they are not alive. But shelter was shelter. They walked. Slowly at first. Then faster when the barn behind them creaked sharply, roof tiles sliding off as something crawled along the rafters with too many limbs. By the time they reached the farmhouse, both were out of breath. Connor pushed the door open with the crowbar. It swung inward, revealing an entryway lit only by the faint gray glow bleeding through cracked walls. The air smelled like iron and rot. And something else. Something worse. Ava gagged. Connor, the floor. The wooden planks were smeared with drying blood. Thick trails led deeper into the house, looping across walls in patterns that made no sense. Then they saw the message. Scrawled in jagged letters across the living room wall. It comes from below. Connor swallowed. Charming. The house was silent except for the occasional snap of cooling wood. Chairs were overturned. Cabinets smashed. A Bible torn apart on the coffee table. Ava stepped closer to the writing. She did this, she whispered. The woman who lived here. Look. On the dusty rug lay a pair of garden shears. Their blades were coated in dark, crusted blood. A few feet away. A tongue. Human. Dried. Shrunk like old leather. Ava looked away, hand covering her mouth. Why would she? The answer came when Connor spotted the next thing. Two gouged-out eyes sitting neatly beside a blood-smeared knitting basket. Ava stumbled backward, shaking. Connor, we shouldn't be here. He nodded. Just the kitchen. We grab food and go. But the kitchen offered nothing except overturned shelves, bite marks on the counters, and an open cellar door yawning like a mouth. As if the house wanted them to look. Ava caught his wrist as he approached it. Don't. Please don't. We need supplies, Connor whispered. Maybe downstairs. The floor vibrated. A low, wet churning noise rose from beneath them. Like millions of things moving together. Ava's grip tightened enough to hurt. Connor. No. He stepped back. Okay. We leave. But they were already too late. The boards beneath their feet cracked. And then the floor gave way. They fell only 6 feet, but it felt like dropping through the mouth of something alive. They landed hard on dirt soaked so dark it glistened. Connor scrambled up, dragging Ava with him. She winced and pressed a hand to her ribs, the parasite bulges under her skin rippled in response. Connor didn't have time to panic about that. The cellar walls were pulsating. Moving. Alive. He shined the dim beam of his dying phone. The light revealed millions, literal millions, of discs. Small, coin-sized, glistening black, clinging to the walls like barnacles. Some slid over each other. Some peeled off and fell to the dirt with wet plops. Some crawled toward them on needle-like spines. Ava screamed. The entire cellar seemed to hear her. The discs surged. A rolling tidal wave of clicking legs and wet scraping sounds rushed forward, climbing over each other, forming a writhing mound. Connor grabbed Ava and sprinted toward the collapsed staircase. He shoved her upward, boosting her onto the broken floor above, then clawed his way after her. Dozens of discs latched onto his boots, burning like acid. He kicked wildly, scraping them off against splintered wood. Ava, trembling violently, reached down and hauled him up just as the wave slammed into the shattered floorboards. The whole house shuddered. Connor didn't think, he grabbed Ava's arm and ran. The back door was 20 feet away. The discs crashed through the floor behind them with the sound of wet paper ripping. The house groaned as beams snapped. A black tide poured into the hallway, hungry and fast. Run! Connor shouted. They smashed through the back door just as the farmhouse collapsed inward, sucked down as if something underground inhaled it whole. Flames split the air. Connor spun. Ava was holding a lighter, her hands shaking violently. She'd set the kitchen curtains ablaze behind them. Ava, why? She didn't answer. She only whispered. It was inside me even then. The flames spread quickly, jumping from curtain to wall to roof. The entire farmhouse erupted in seconds. But the discs didn't burn. They screeched, high, metallic, furious, and surged out of the collapsing house, charred but alive, hundreds of thousands flowing across the grass like boiling oil. Connor grabbed Ava's hand. They ran. The hollow pulsed in the distance like a heartbeat. Day 2, the line of fire. By dawn, they found the National Guard. Or rather, the National Guard found them. Connor and Ava stumbled into the clearing at the edge of a massive defensive line, rows of burning trenches, towers of floodlights, armored trucks, soldiers in gas masks. A soldier spotted them and yelled, "Contact! Possible infected!" Connor raised his hands. "We're not, we just need help." A squad surrounded them instantly, rifles trained on their heads. One soldier tugged off Connor's backpack and dumped its contents onto the dirt. Ava doubled over, coughing. Something black spattered out of her mouth. Small. Squirming. Several soldiers gasped. One raised a flamethrower. Sergeant Ramirez pushed forward. He looked exhausted. Eyes sunken. Voice hoarse. Contain them. 2 soldiers grabbed Connor, slamming him to the ground. Another held Ava upright as she gagged again, spitting out 3 wriggling black larvae that curled in the dirt like leeches. Ramirez lowered his head. "We can't let anything leave the contamination zone. 90% of civilians are compromised. Orders from command." He signaled the flamethrower unit. A family of 5 suddenly burst from the tree line behind them, mother, father, 3 kids, running toward the soldiers screaming for help. Ramirez lifted his hand. The flamethrower operator pressed the trigger. The world became fire. The family was engulfed instantly. Their screams merged with the roar of burning flesh and igniting fuel. The smell hit Connor first, thick and nauseating. Ava vomited again, except it wasn't vomit. A wriggling mass of black lava poured from her mouth. She sobbed, trying to wipe them away with trembling hands. Ramirez raised his weapon toward her. Connor roared, fighting against the soldiers pinning him down. "Don't touch her." Ramirez's voice was hollow. "She's infected. She's already gone." "No," Ava rasped. "I'm still me." But the larvae crawling from her throat made her words collapse into a wet gurgle. Ramirez steadied his rifle. And then, chaos. A group of survivors ran toward the barricade from the west, 30 of them, men, women, teens. They screamed for help. But their skin was bubbling. Their eyes black. Their movements jerky. They weren't survivors. They were carriers. Ramirez shouted, "Open fire!" The soldiers unleashed hell. Gunfire ripped through the clearing. The infected rushed forward, voices echoing with a single metallic resonance, as if the hollow itself spoke through them. Connor rammed his shoulder into the soldier restraining him, knocked him off balance, and tore the man's pistol from its holster. He sprinted to Ava, grabbed her waist, and dragged her behind an overturned Humvee. "Connor," she coughed, blood and larvae spilling from her lips. "I'm not leaving you." The battlefield became a maelstrom of screams, flame, and gunfire. The infected hit the barricade like a tidal wave, crawling over each other, using bodies as ladders. Ramirez fired until his rifle clicked empty. Then the infected swarmed him. They dragged him to the ground and tore him apart in seconds, his screams muffled as discs poured into his mouth, eyes, ears. Connor didn't watch. He hoisted Ava onto his back and ran. The line of fire was collapsing. The infected had overrun half the soldiers. The trenches spewed flame but couldn't burn quickly enough. Connor spotted a cattle transport truck idling near the east fence, its engine running, driver nowhere to be seen. He sprinted for it. A cluster of infected civilians noticed him and charged, limbs bending at impossible angles. Connor shoved Ava into the passenger seat and climbed in after her. He slammed the door. A dozen bodies hit the truck simultaneously, pounding on the glass. Connor floored the accelerator. The transport blasted through the eastern gate, metal fencing ripping away as dozens of infected tumbled beneath the wheels. He didn't slow. Not when bones cracked under the tires. Not when black fluid sprayed across the windshield. Not even when he realized the cattle still inside the trailer were infected too. Their hooves smashed against the metal walls, bodies convulsing, eyes pure black. The truck rocked with every impact. Ava clutched his arm. Her skin was hot. Feverish. "Connor. I don't feel good." "I know," he whispered. "Just hold on." Behind them, the hollow swallowed the battlefield whole. Ahead of them, the highway stretched into the unknown. And somewhere miles away, a man named Derek would soon cross their path. But for now, Connor drove. Because stopping meant death. And the hollow was still hungry. Connor drove for nearly 2 hours before the truck finally gave out. The engine coughed, sputtered, and let out a grinding metal wail that sounded like something dying. He managed to guide the cattle hauler to the shoulder of a cracked rural highway before the whole vehicle lurched and died. The trailer rocked violently behind them. The infected cattle slammed at the walls, hooves cracking metal panels. Connor turned off the ignition. "We get out. Now." Ava's head lolled weakly to one side. Her skin was pale and hot, black veins rising like worms beneath her skin. Sweat beaded on her neck. Her breaths came shallow. He cupped her cheek. "Ava, can you walk?" "I can try," she whispered. Her voice was barely hers. Each word sounded strained, like she was forcing it through thick mud. Connor got out, ran around to her side, and gently helped her down. The night was cold. September air bit at their skin. But the horizon behind them glowed faintly red, the hollow consuming the last defense line. They limped down the road, Connor supporting her weight with his arm wrapped around her waist. He could hear the distant groaning metal of the cattle trailer as the animals inside finally burst through the side panel and spilled onto the highway as a seething black mass. He didn't look back. A rumbling engine approached from the east. Headlights swept across them. A semi-truck slowed beside them and hissed to a stop. The door opened, and a man with a thick beard, tired eyes, and a trucker cap leaned out. "You two need a lift." His voice was wary but kind. Connor tightened his grip on Ava. "Are you normal?" The man snorted. "These days? Who the hell knows? But I'm breathing, I'm not leaking black tar out of my eye sockets, and I'm not trying to chew your face off." "Good enough." Connor nodded. The man hopped down. "Name's Derek. Get in." He helped Connor lift Ava into the truck, then climbed back behind the wheel. As the semi pulled away, Derek studied them for a moment. "She okay?" Connor hesitated. "Heat stroke. Dehydration. Shock." It wasn't a lie. Just not the whole truth. Derek nodded slowly. "Long as she ain't contagious." Connor didn't answer. The silence told Derek everything. But he didn't kick them out. He just sighed, shifted to a higher gear, and said quietly, "I'll get you where you need to go." Hours later, they saw it, a flickering neon sign in the distance. Molly's Roadhouse opened 24 hours. The parking lot was full. Dozens of cars. Several motorcycles. A tour bus parked crookedly, doors left open. The world was ending, and yet people still sought light, warmth, coffee, or company, anything that felt human. Derek parked the semi. "This place has got generators. And supplies. Good folks, mostly." He glanced at Ava. "Let's get her inside." Connor carried her, arms wrapped protectively around her trembling frame. Her head rested against his shoulder. Inside, the diner was loudly, defiantly alive. Families sat in booths. A few truckers drank coffee at the counter. A waitress in her 50s hustled between tables with a pot of burnt coffee. A radio played an old rock song, one that would have gotten Connor suspended back home. For a moment, it felt almost normal. Then Ava convulsed. Violently. Connor rushed her into a corner booth. Derek pulled off his jacket and placed it under her head. Her back arched. Black fluid seeped from her nose. Her eyes rolled back. A teenage girl at the next table gasped. "Is she okay?" Connor shook his head quickly. "Medical condition, stay back." But Ava wasn't seizing. She was changing. Her skin bulged. Something pushed upward from her spine, distorting the shape of her back. Her ribs flexed outward, as if something inside was trying to pry them open. Connor clutched her hand. "Ava. Ava, stay with me." She rasped, "Connor, run." "I'm not, me." He shook his head fiercely. "I'm not leaving." She screamed. Loud. The entire diner fell silent. Derek grabbed Connor by the shoulders. "Kid. We have to get her help." "There is no help." Connor wasn't yelling at Derek. He was yelling at fate. At God. At the hollow. Ava went still. Too still. Connor leaned over her. "Ava? Ava, please." Her eyes opened. Entirely black. Her mouth fell open, not like a gasp, but like a puppet whose strings had been cut. And from the back of her throat came a clicking, chittering chorus. Derek whispered, "Oh God." Something moved under her skin. Ripples ran across her arms, her face, her stomach. And then, the first disc burst out through her cheek. A small, oily black parasite forced its way into the open air with a wet pop. It skittered across the table. Everyone in the diner screamed. Then dozens more erupted from beneath Ava's flesh, tearing through skin, crawling from her forehead, spilling from her mouth like a fountain of squirming shadow. The parasites hit the floor in a living cascade. They spread fast. Faster than screams. Faster than footsteps. A man near the door was the first to fall. The disc swarmed his legs, burrowing into his skin, devouring, replacing. His scream cut short as his body snapped upright, still twitching. A waitress tried to run. The swarm reached her in seconds. One by one. 87 people fell. The diner became a cathedral of chittering horror. Connor dragged Ava, what was left of her, into his arms. Her eyes flickered, for just a moment, back to her old color. She whispered, in a voice far too faint. "Connor, run." He shook his head wildly. "I'm not leaving you. These people. I did this." Tears, red and black, ran down her cheeks. "I don't want to hurt you." Connor kissed her forehead. His voice cracked. "You won't." But he felt something crawling along her spine, pressing outward. He had seconds. He grabbed Derek's arm. "Truck. Now." Derek didn't argue. They ran through the kitchen, climbed out a busted service door, and sprinted to the semi. Behind them, glass shattered as infected civilians launched themselves through windows, bodies spasming, limbs elongating, parasites driving their movements like puppeteers. Connor carried Ava in the passenger seat. Derek slammed the truck into gear and floored it. As they roared onto the highway, the Roadhouse collapsed behind them, walls buckling inward as the inside filled with writhing black mass. The diner sign flickered once, then went dark. By the time they neared Illinois, the sky was glowing a sickly red. Chicago's skyline was visible in the distance, only silhouettes now as the hollow expanded into the horizon, devouring everything. Ava lay against Connor's chest, breathing in shallow, painful gasps. He stroked her hair. "We're almost there." She shook her head slowly. Her voice was a whisper from another world. "Connor, it's inside you too." He stiffened. "No. You breathed it in. At the gas station. I saw it on your skin." Her trembling fingers touched the side of his neck. Black flakes came off. Connor's breath caught. He hadn't noticed. Derek looked at them, jaw tight, eyes full of sorrow. "I'm sorry, kids." Connor held Ava closer. She was fading. They crossed an overpass, a tall, steel-beamed bridge stretching across a deep ravine just a few miles from the state line. Ava opened her eyes. They were black again. Then human again. Flickering between the two light-broken lights. "Connor." He kissed her. The world shook. The hollow was approaching, fast. A wall of spiraling black devouring the horizon like a tidal wave. Connor whispered, "We're not going to spread it. We're not going to be part of this thing." She nodded weakly, tears streaming. Derek slowed the truck. "If you're doing what I think you're doing, God forgive you." Connor smiled sadly. "No. God left hours ago." He lifted Ava into his arms. They stepped out onto the bridge. Wind whipped around them. The hollow roared behind them like a cosmic avalanche. Ava pressed her forehead to his. "Connor, thank you for loving me." He squeezed